Here, I want to. Brandon, welcome to the Expert Circle podcast. Coming at us out of Missouri, Lee's Summit in particular, right there in Kansas City area. Already my favorite place for barbecue in America. Looking forward to the conversation. Looking forward to hearing your story on how you started Trece's tree trimming. Yeah, how did you get started? Where'd that name come from?
So that's actually my last name. So we just kind of ran
Okay.
with that. And so I
Yep.
got my start actually working with Asplin. I'd bounced around doing hard labor like my whole life. I started out doing baling hay when I was 13 years old, and then just kind of sticked with outside labor because I liked it the most as I got older. I actually got into a boating accident where it cut off most of my left arm. And
Gosh.
that caused me to be out of work for about 8 months. As you can see, there's a tendon right here they took out of my leg and put right in there. So I was out
Well,
of
thank
work
God.
for about 8 months. Yeah, I know it's weird because like I still got like all the movement and everything. So I used to work for
Yeah.
a steel mill when that happened, and I had a short-term disability. So I was able to use that for 8 months, but I was going through physical therapy to try to get better, and they had to let me go to refill my position.
Yep.
And so I
So
got a buddy
you've been
that
doing
worked at Asplin.
you've been doing tough jobs, and then you were able to rehab from that, and then you dove into working for Asplin.
Yeah, so they hired me on as a groundman because I had a buddy that had been there for about 10 years. So I was a groundman for them for about a year and a half to 2 years. And then I worked my way up to get my journeyman. And so I was with them for about, I'd say, 5 to 6 years. And then we went full time in May of 2020. And so this May will be our 6 year anniversary of being full time on our own.
Yeah, very
So
cool.
with Asplin,
Um,
I got like extremely lucky because they have an employee handbook where it says that you're not allowed to talk prices, but you're allowed to hand out a business card while on clock.
okay.
So I did like a little bit of a workaround where we would be in people's backyards every day. And so people would be like, "Hey, can you handle this?" And I'm like, "That's something we can handle, but I have to talk to you later." So I would handle it, like hand them a business card, and then, we'd go on about our day.
Yep. Nice. So what did that allow you to do? That was an interesting strategy for you to kind of
It
get into
basically
sales
allowed
and
us to like we got to walk into the industry instead of getting pushed into it. So I had 3 time return customers before we went out full time on our own. I basically got pulled out into it because as a journeyman tree trimmer here in Kansas City for IBEW 53, we were maybe pulling in $750 to $800 a week check, but I could go take down a small tree for about $800. So it's,
yep.
the verses of at maybe a 6 hour day for 800 compared to a 40-hour day for 40-hour week for 800.
Sure. So you put your dues in. I mean, 6 years putting your dues in is not nothing. So you learned the ropes, and that was there a moment where you knew you had to go out on your own, like this kind of the diminishing returns on maybe what you were learning, and you were could be making more on your own. When was that? Was it a defining moment? And yeah, how do you
Yeah, I
recommend
got
guys that are
so
that moment?
so I was lucky. The Asplin kind of career, if you get put into a great yard, then you're kind of set. But if you get like stuck like a lot of other people, you get moved around a bunch. So I was in a yard for Independence Power and Light, and it was considered a really great yard. I was there for about 5 years probably, and then that's when I got moved out into Kansas City, Kansas, and then just kind of got shipped around here and back and forth. And so it became more troublesome for me to have to worry about what show up we're going to be at next and how long the work's going to last and if I could possibly be laid off. And I'm still trying to juggle the customers that we had acquired in the meantime of working out in Independence, and just the word of mouth spreading around from people that kind of just knew us, and then from customers that enjoyed the work that we put in.
Yep. Yep. Dumb question. What does it mean when you refer to a yard?
So, I mean, we don't do lawn mowing, but I mean, it could be anything from us. Like, oh, you're talking about like a yard. So, a yard would be basically your show up. It would be like where you belong to. So, IPL was a singular yard that you would know every single day where you're going to, what kind of neighborhood you're dealing with, and then other times you would just get shipped. They'd be like, there's a new yard in KCK. We got to go out there. And then you might be meeting crews that you've never met before. They kind of have like a rolling system where they try to hit every area like once
Okay.
every 5 to 7 years. So if you're not like a substation like Independence Power and Light, where it's its own kind of conglomerate, then you're just moving around all the time.
Interesting. Got it. Um, and then when you transitioned to doing your own thing, you were doing some commercial jobs, mainly residential.
Yeah, we were doing 90% residential, and then over the years we've tried to get more and more commercial based just because you can get a lot of contracts out of them. I like to do HOAs because we can like beautify a whole area and then you can kind of see what our work does. And then it's kind of like a contract where you're getting called back every year and you're not out searching for work.
Yep. Yep. And what do for me, it's always interesting to hear, how guys are, saying, hey, should we just go deep in one vertical and service, um, you know, more clients, or should we use our existing client base and broaden our range of services? What services do you guys offer? How do you think about that and go about, your offerings?
So most of the time we're doing either removals or trims. So it's either going to
Huh?
be like, let's say, uplifting a tree to get it away from your street or your driveway, or we would be removing
Okay.
some limbs off of your house to prevent any damage or to get an insurance approval. And then
Yep.
removal's just basically getting rid of the whole tree. So we've tried to just stick with that. We haven't tried to. I don't like. I've always tried to say I don't want to get too big for my britches. I haven't like tried to expand and have multiple crews because I don't know if it's more of me being a control freak or me just being mindful of the fact that it's my last name and I want it to be, a good satisfied customer when we leave that job site.
Sure. Sure.
So I've always
Um,
joked with my wife where I'm like, we're kind of like a boutique tree trimming shop. It may be a little bit more than like Tom and Harry down the street, but you're gonna get a house and a yard that looked better than it was when we got there, and there won't be like a limb or a leaf left behind.
yep. Yep. So no, like landscaping, kind of lawn mowing, recurring, smaller jobs, just more of the bigger ticket, tree trim jobs.
So originally we had tried to do like a little bit of lawn mowing, but with the sporadic weather that we get in Missouri, I just found it was too hard to not get disappointed customers. So like if
Yep.
we had tree trimming jobs scheduled and it rained, now I had to worry about like all these yards that were going to be backed up, and it was more of me
Sure.
either having to expand and get more crews or just keep what we kind of knew what we were doing, and I just kind of backed
Yep.
off
Yep.
landscaping and lawn mowing because of that.
Yep. Yep. And then seasonality, how does that affect you guys in KC? Do you do anything, during kind of colder winter months, or is it pretty steady? Or
So we've been lucky enough that like my work has spoke for itself. We don't advertise, but since we've got like good word of mouth and I have return customers, we work all year round.
yep,
Normally with like you have a bunch of oak trees in Missouri, and if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're only supposed to trim them in between like around November, December to around April during the extreme cold months.
yep, yep. Um, yeah, people don't know that like trimming in the winter is probably the best time. So yeah,
Yeah.
do you guys
And
do
it
you
and it
guys
just all kind
do?
of depends on the tree. Like if it's a fruit bearing tree that's going to pop out a bunch of stuff in the spring, you don't want to go doing too much cutting on it in the winter because you're going to take out, some of your fruit bearing limbs.
Yep, yep. Um, cool. So going, out on your own, what has been, some of the biggest challenges that you've had to face up to this point, as a business owner, growing your business?
I'd say finding steady, like right now I'm blessed with a good crew. I've got a full-time climber and a full-time groundman. But before it was just it's kind of hard to find people that actually want to get their hands dirty and do hard work because it's not easy.
Yep. Yep. Um, any hacks to that? Like, how do you go about, finding the right guy now?
Your best bet's like giving them like a good hard day's work. You don't want to ride them into the ground, but you want to see if like they're willing to work. We've got
Yep.
equipment, like we've got mini skids and we make it so you're not breaking your back, but at the same time, you don't want to see a guy just sitting over there on his phone for like 20 hours a
Yeah.
week.
So just like thrown into the fire. Let's see if it's the right thing for you, and
Yeah, it's
go
kind
from there.
I guess that's kind of just how I've always seen it because that's how I got like put into the mix. It's kind of like sink or swim. And they kind
Yep.
of, they kind of get the gist of it and they know if they want to work there or not. It's better than like giving them a light load for a couple weeks and then them seeing what it's really like and not enjoying it after a couple weeks instead of really realizing what they want the first day.
Yep. Yep. That makes sense. And right now, so you kind of, you have a good amount of business, I imagine. You word of mouth, the main way you guys get customers, or what's your best, channel for acquiring new customers? Have you done any kind of Angie's List or Yelp or paid for any paid ads, or what have you done from a marketing standpoint to grow your business?
So we actually haven't done one like paid review or I mean like paid ad in the past 6 years that we've been fully operational. We always go like off of word of mouth and like our job kind of speaks for itself. We're lucky enough that tree trimming industry is kind of like there's a tree in just about every single yard, and if you don't want to have a tree in your yard, there's probably two in your neighbor's yard. So while we're working, we usually get at least 1 to 2 customers in the neighborhood that just come up and ask for an estimate while we're there. We take off
Yep.
every Wednesday to do estimates, so it kind of spaces out the workload to where we're working 4 days a week and then we're off every single Wednesday so I can be out and about and not miss like customers that might have like emergencies pop up. And then I can still
Sure.
be the one doing the estimates and the work so it feels more personal to a lot of people.
Yep. Yeah, so you're a busy guy, running and gunning. You're one of the main climbers on your team, or you're just supervising job sites, or
So I climb with my full-time climber, but he's usually the main climber unless we have like a job site where there's 2 climbs needed.
yep, yep. Um, nice, nice. And what is like, moving forward? What's kind of where are you at with the business right now? What are your goals for the business? What's maybe the next challenge that's you're facing and tackling?
So my goals are really just kind of narrowing down all the best equipment that I can get, kind of the whole buy once, cry once thing, to where I just kind of get it to where we can go in and streamline jobs and you're not out there breaking your back. Cause I don't mind paying my guys for a full like 8 days or 8 hours pay if we get in there and get the job done in like 5 hours, 6 hours. I try to do like a base rate for them so nobody's losing money if we get the job done fast. And it's kind of incentive for them too, so we can kind of
Yep.
just keep working and keep going. So yeah, my goals in the future
So
are kind of just aiming towards we've had a bucket truck in the past and we got rid of
yep,
it because we just didn't use it as much. It seems like it's just
yep,
much easier to get your hands on the tree. So I'm
yeah,
just maybe looking for like a dump trailer because we've already got 2 other trailers and that's about it.
yep.
I like kind of moving slow and not, getting too ahead of myself so I don't have a possibility of losing it.
That's interesting. So when you buy equipment, it's with the purpose to make your crew more efficient. And yeah, which is yeah, I think probably I'm sure some people can get roped into just buying stuff just cuz, right? So I think that's a good kind
I've
of
seen
buy
some of my
box,
friends and like, yeah, in the area. I had a buddy that got out of the military and he's done great with his company because they'll go to storms and stuff. But one of his main things he did when he got out was took all of the stuff that his dad like had and then upped it to, I think he had nothing that was older than a 2010. So he like revamped his whole fleet.
Sure.
But I
Did
like
that work
some
out?
people like doing that, but I don't like the whole overhead. So I like to stay in
Totally.
my little sweet zone.
Yeah. I had a conversation with a guy the other day, and his whole thing, he was like addicted to these auctions, and so
Yeah,
he, bought his truck for like 5,000 off of this auction. It started at 300, and he bidded it up. But yeah,
that's
it
a
was
little
it
dopamine
was a
rush
cool.
getting on there.
Yeah, Keenan. Yeah, it's a cool episode. Uh, yeah, so he didn't pay, nothing, and he paid like 3,000 for his chipper. He got it used on Craigslist or something. And so, yeah, I think it's smart to, you know, worry about the overhead because you have a break even point there,
Yeah,
and and not buy stuff for ego or because you want to have the coolest stuff. But is this going to allow me to be more efficient? And a lot of guys running 2-3 crews, right? They have bigger overhead. They got to have crew leaders and stuff, so it's not 3 times the revenue. It's a lot more work for only not that much more money, right?
yeah, it's
um,
like 3 times the headache.
yeah, I don't know where that math is, but I think you got to be like a bigger operation, almost like probably like 6 crews for it to start to the economies of scale to start to really add up where you are making twice as much, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be
but then I
interesting
don't think
to
you
that's
can sit back. Like in this industry, I don't think it's one where you can get crews going and then sit back unless you've got some really great crew like leaders. Because it seems
yeah,
like,
you got turnover, right?
yeah, you're always checking on something, whether it be like an accidental fence gets hit or just like anything like that.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, so I have found that a lot of guys do like running their one crew really efficiently, and they do well that way. So, and you guys are kind of where you need to be with jobs, or it'd be interesting to get some more jobs, or
I would never mind, a couple more jobs to pop up, but I mean,
sure.
we've been just blessed where like I kind of just put it in God's hands and I don't worry about it too much and I'll get maybe 5 to 7 calls a week and then we'll seal the deal on minimum 4 like out of the 7 calls.
Yep. That's pretty good conversion rate. What's your process for following up with those estimates? Do those guys get a call when you shoot the estimate out? I know
So most of the
sometimes.
time I'll give them that heads up and be like, we're off on Wednesday. So if you're able to make it out on Wednesday, I can work my schedule around to meeting you in person. But if you just want to shoot us like a brief description of what you want done, we can go by there and then kind of just I write it out like real detailed. And then if need be, we
Yep,
can always take a picture and I'll do like a little markup tool where I can say like this limb would be gone, this limb would be gone, and then I can send them like different prices. Because there's some
yep,
people
yep.
around here that want to get it as cheap as possible, and they'll just ask you to come cut it, put it on the ground, and leave. They're like, I'll take
Sure,
care of
sure.
getting rid of the wood if it saves me a little bit of the cost.
So are you writing that estimate up on the spot and showing it to them, or you email it to
Yeah.
them, later
So
that
I'll either
day?
email them I'll either email it like in our little invoice form, or I'll just send them a text, depending on what they like. Some people want it to be more formal and like an email where it's like has letterhead and everything.
Yep. But
But
my
we found
question is,
electronics the
are you
best.
guys still are you guys still on site to answer any questions if they say, hey, is it possible just to leave it on the ground? So you're
Yeah.
emailing it to them while you're still on site.
Yeah, if anything, I try to give them a call, like if they're not there, to just kind of walk through it with them, just so we don't miss
Got it.
anything.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Some guys are so busy they don't have time for that step, but yeah, I think that's like one of the biggest ROIs that guys can do.
I
Um,
think that's where we get a lot of our return customers and a lot of our like referrals is because we try to like give people an experience. I try to let them know that like we're not just there to take your money. I'm here to like listen to what you want done and work with
Yep.
you for like the best health of the tree to get, what we can get out of the
Yep.
deal.
Yep. Um, I'm sure they appreciate that, kind of tailored approach. What would you say is your, philosophy on business? How do you try to differentiate yourself from, other tree trimmers in the, area? What is it you've done so far that's made you guys successful that resonates with your clients?
So I always try to do this thing where they say be undeniable. So like I'll try to grab at least one extra thing at every property that's not asked. So like if we go in the backyard and you ask us to trim your oak, but you've got like a stubborn little tree that's in your fence line, I'll just go ahead and cut that tree out of the fence line and then mention to them like after the job's complete. Like just a heads up, hey, we went ahead and grabbed that for you just to get it out of the way. Or if they've got like a small pile of brush like sitting by their shed, just a little thing where like we're gonna go above and beyond and not ask for anything out of it, just to show you like that we appreciate you as a customer.
Yep. That's really cool. So it's not as transactional and coming from an abundant, mindset. I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
It's the
really
whole
appreciate
mindset
it.
of where I'm trying to make it feel more personable, where you're not just a number. And like
Yep.
we've had people where I'll tell people like straight up, if you want to just give me a call for free advice, I'll give you advice. Like if you're at the
Yep.
nursery and you want to plant a new tree and you're just curious on what you think works best for this area, like we offer free advice like that too, and we get quite a few elderly people that want to call and just talk every once in a while about like maybe their garden.
Yeah. I mean, that's good advice, just even for life, not keeping score and just,
Yeah,
being a giver. And I think when you give more, you receive more, whether it be relationships, business. Um, yes, I think law of attraction, right? A lot of people
yeah.
have been hurt or something. That I've been hurt, I'm not going to give too much.
Yeah, it's the attitude of gratitude too. You gotta be grateful for the things that you're given and not take advantage or take them for granted.
Yep, yep. I definitely can see that. Yeah. Are you a Christian believer? I feel some like,
Yeah, I
some
definitely believe
little
in the
clips.
Lord. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I
I've
can
just
see
had things
that
like
kind of
happen
stuff.
in my life. Like when I had that accident happen, I was on the Lake of the Ozarks. I fell over the front of a boat and went underneath, and then the boat propeller hit my arm, and
Uh,
it actually missed my head to the point where it like scraped it and put like a little scab on my head, and then it hit my
wow.
Achilles tendon as well. And so I got
Yep.
life flighted to MU, and I spent I think 11 days in the hospital, and the lady that actually did most of my operations was 8 months pregnant.
Oh
So it's
my
just like it
God.
was just like so many weird things was like that just had to happen that shouldn't have happened.
Yep. Yep. And new appreciation for life after that, for sure.
Definitely, I was a little less wild after that because it was on my 22nd birthday. So
Wow.
it was it was definitely a life changer.
What does that change for you? I mean, you look, first off, you look jacked, so it's like not affecting your mental health, I see. Does that affect anything what you got to do with your job? And you probably have found ways to make everything work, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've found ways to get around it. The only thing it affects is I can't make like the most fist, but I can like grab everything just fine. So I still
Okay.
climb, and like I haven't the only like way it really affected me a little bit is when I lift weights. I have this little they have these straps that go around your arm that have a metal piece that curls, and I use that to
Yep.
pick up some of my weights. But other than that, I mean, I haven't let it slow me down at all.
Yep. I got a weird thing. I can't go palms up, Brandon, on this, especially on this hand. That's it. That's my range of motion here.
Did
So I
you
can't do
break
like
the
bicep
wrist or
curls.
something?
I don't know. It's just I'm like, yeah. So that's I can't do bicep. I can only do hammer curls. I can't do like barbell curls. I get it. I get it. I get it. And interesting. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I think I'm looking at my boobies here. You got bigger chest than me. With so yeah. Uh, we were sharing beard care techniques as well before the podcast. Yeah. And if you're visiting Kansas City, you're a big fan of the smoked turkey. That's the
Yeah,
move,
I get a lot of shit for
man.
that, but yeah.
Yeah, I have been to Kansas City. The burnt ends. What are burnt ends? Burnt ends are the end of tri-tip or what? Or the brisket?
Yeah.
What part of
It's
it?
I think it's the brisket part that's been chopped in, and then you put it in the little squares. They're
Well,
falling your
yeah.
they're fall apart in your mouth like they're pretty good down here. Depends on where you go. A lot of people like Oklahoma Joe's, some people like Jack
Oh
Stack. It
my
just
gosh.
depends.
If I could have had that when I was a college athlete, training and just eating, the brisket, burnt ends all day, that would have been, yeah, the dream, the dream. Um, so who's your team? Are you running the back end business stuff, invoicing? How do you handle, some of that, the business side of things, doing taxes, have you
So my wife
identified?
handles like all the administrative side.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that
We're
was
we're
right from
lucky
the
enough.
beginning, or she stepped in at some point to help with that?
So she's always been there from the beginning. And then like she just stepped in full time maybe after 2 years. She used to work for the power company out here. It was KCP&L, but now it's called Evergy. So she used to work for them while I was in the tree industry. So it was kind of cool because I could find people like around and near her that I could get questions answered for, and kind of find out like where they're getting their equipment from, and we found out how to get more into like the corporate side of things that way. And she actually owns 51% of the business, so we're considered a minority company.
Wow, power couple. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I've known her since
Very,
I was 13, and we've been married since 2012, I want to say, too.
and you're from that area? Or where do you guys grow up?
Yeah, we grew up in Independence together.
Okay, gotcha. Very cool. So yeah, she knew some stuff for. How does that like give you guys unfair advantage? Yeah,
It kind
her
of
being
helped that
able to
we
come
didn't,
in and
unfortunately, we didn't get any like contracts out of it because that would have been nice, but we definitely got kind of like the inside scoop on how bigger businesses run, and how it works to try to get like a contract in with them, because it helped us get into like certain sites called like Bonfire where you can actually bid for municipality jobs, but a lot of them require you to have like a maybe a 5 or 6 crew. So a lot of them we didn't really register for. But it was definitely like a huge
so
eye
that's
opener to
something that
see.
you're saying you guys are like looking into maybe getting some more commercial stuff, moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, we're always open to bidding.
And
Like
so,
we actually got there was a township called Baldwin Township, and we actually did some work for them. So we've already done one
yep.
municipality.
And what's the magic formula for getting those accepted? You said you have to have a little bigger crews, 5, 6
Yeah, they'll
guys on
give
the
you a set of
crew. What are
stipulations
the other?
depending on how big the job is. They'll say like we need X amount of people for you to show that you have, and a lot of times you have to be like bonded as well as insured. So they might ask for you to be like have like a $10 million bond.
Yep. Yeah, interesting. So it's good to have a bond company that can maybe even be flexible and give you a different level bond if need
Yeah.
be. Um, yeah, interesting. Um, and then, yeah, even like your injury, does that, approach how you deal with safety? Are you like maybe more safety oriented than the next guy? Or
Yeah,
that's
and I would
something we
say
talk with all tree trimmers. Everybody has some little, stuff that goes down.
working starting with Asplin definitely helped that too. They were a stickler where they wanted to say, safety first, everybody goes home. And I've kind of taken that with me where and it's the same philosophy I've had with building the company. I'm always telling the guys like we're not in a hurry. You don't like a lot of times you either get hurt from being complacent or from being in a hurry, and so we try to walk through like any, hazards, cuz Asplin taught us to do like safety briefings every morning. So I kind of take the best things that I could find from their teachings and take it with me to our job sites.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably one of the really good things that you get out of a bigger company that's more, liability focused. That, yeah, I'm sure served you guys really well. Um, what's your advice for young guys maybe that are looking to get into the trades? I know we need more people in the trades. And even we talk about this, we have a changing landscape in this world. AI, a lot of white collar jobs aren't even, relevant anymore. And so, a lot of maybe guys that don't have that in their DNA are like thinking about transitioning. Let's see
Sorry, I just got
here.
a call there.
Okay. We're back, I think. Um, so yeah, a lot of guys are thinking about, transitioning into a blue collar job. Um, what do you think it takes to have that kind of work ethic and mentality and mindset? And, what would be your advice even to your kids, coming up here?
I'd say if you're looking to get a foot in the door, you can go to places like Asplin. It depending on what industry you're looking to get into, there's a lot of commercial places that are still willing to teach you from the ground up when you know nothing. And so you can get yourself a good foundation of what you need to have, the skills and the just the basic terminology and knowledge that you need to have for the industry. And then you can take that and go like on the road, kind of like I did. My advice would be just don't rush it, especially with like the safety. If it may look goofy to throw on like some chainsaw pants that are, the chaps, but it's going to save you from cutting your femoral artery. So it's like, it's
No
just
shortcuts.
think about long term and work smarter, not harder.
Yep. Yep. Almost meditative. You got to be slow down, be present, be in the moment.
Yeah. And you can't think about much when you're, 30, 40, 50 feet up in a tree trying to cut a limb and trying to make sure your guy roping understands to let it run so much, but then let it swing away from the house. And I would
Yeah,
say like the advice I'd give my
absolutely.
kids would be like, I don't know much like about where the future is going to go, but I would say there's a lot of blue collar jobs that would be harder to replace. They may be more automated to where like the tree industry has already seen it, where you have cranes that actually have saws on the cranes. So it can take the place of a climber, but they're $550,000. So it's kind of like there's the
Yep.
possibilities, but it's all about the overhead and the income of the company.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I think those are good things to think about. I would encourage guys too to be a business owner, take the leap like you did, become a business owner. If the world is so crazy that we got robot tree trimmer climbers in the future, like you want to be the business owner utilizing that technology, and you don't want to just be stuck as a, whatever in that labor position that might get, replaced when we have like weird, dog size like
Or
plumbing
drones.
robots that get under sinks. Like, who knows? Yeah. Uh,
Yeah,
so I think getting really good at that.
I always recommend people to start an LLC. I had my trimmer start him an LLC, and then I was talking to my groundman recently, like just the benefits from the tax side that you're able to log your miles coming to work. You're able to buy work boots and use it as a deduction that you might not normally be able to do.
Are you able to hire guys 1099 as independent contractors that way and avoid maybe some workers' comp and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we're such a small operation, and we've been able to stay small like that. That's kind of how we run it.
Cool.
And so I like just like this week, like I just take care of him in other ways. Like I bought him some brand new coats. I bought uh my groundmen some steel-toed boots the other day. Just little things here and there that they don't have to worry about because they're gonna just ruin it on the damn job site anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Which you can do, I think, as long as they're gifts to them and they're not like company owned, right? You can do that. Yeah, I think that's, for me, that would be interesting. That's how I would do it. But it's different. In California, the workers' comp rules are more, you know, crazy. People are taking advantage of that more. I think, in other parts of America, you get more sane judges and different, people running things. Um, very cool. Any kind of last nuggets of wisdom that you want to, leave the world with here?
Not that I can think of. Just make sure your
Okay.
equipment's like the funny quote that I always remember is Abraham Lincoln was asked once what would he do if he had 8 hours to cut down a tree, and he said he would spend 5 of those hours sharpening his saws. So it's kind of just a nod to make sure your equipment's ready to go before you head out. I've had
Yep.
many a
That's kind
times
of
where
what,
like I had maybe two saws because I was just starting the business, and both of them fail on me, and I'm sitting there like, well, what do I do now?
yeah. And from a safety aspect too, I imagine, making sure
Yeah.
your equipment's all set properly. Yeah, that's what one guy mentioned. He said, like my service guy and my team, that's like what keeps me safe.
Yeah.
That was
It's
something that was
kind of
really
like a
important.
brotherhood because you're trusting your life with them.
Yep. Brandon, you're a cool guy, man. You're just a good human. I can tell that that's served you really well, in your business. I'm sure your clients really appreciate that. Your servants, heart, mindset, going above and beyond, helping your clients out. And yeah, it's cool to hear your story. I wish we were doing this in person so I could eat some KC barbecue, but yeah,
Yeah, you'll have to
yeah, thanks.
let us know next time you're in Kansas City.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it would be really cool to connect. Likewise, if you're ever out here in Los Angeles, feel free to holler, show you around, and yeah, really appreciate you having coming on the podcast here.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, have a good one.
Have a good one.